So after losses in 2024, Democrats hoping to turn the page now. The DNC unveiling a new political playbook on how to win, with hopes to win big in the high-stakes midterms and ride that wave into 2028. How about that? Faiz Shakir is a senior advisor to Senator Bernie Sanders. Karl Rove, former White House Deputy Chief of Staff and a Fox News contributor. And gentlemen, here we go. Start your engines. 3 topics. First up, number 1 here, Faiz, to you. Here's what Ken Martin says, DNC chair. Everything in these pages revolves around one core tenet. Connection with voters matters more than attempts we make. The DNC is all gas, no brakes as we rethink our party's approach to campaigning. Is this really that different?
Well, it's a nice rhetoric from Ken Martin. I'd say we also need an agenda. We got to go before the American public and say, what are Democrats going to campaign off? You put us in the office, hold the House, hold the Senate. What can you do? One is you want to end the war. End the funding for this war immediately. I think in addition, we need to expand health care in America, give every American the option to buy into Medicare. That'd be a good start. And the president himself has suggested a couple areas that I think Democrats could work with him on. Capping credit card interest rates, banning private equity from buying residential houses. That's an agenda. And I want to hear more Democrats talk about a proactive vision of what we want to do for America's working class.
Okay, it seems like Rahm Emanuel's got some pretty good ideas, Karl, coming from the center-left aisle for the Democratic Party. Here's what he writes in part in the Journal. He says, beginning next year, we'll have the power in Congress, assuming they take the House and Senate, I guess, to illustrate to the American people that the most important distinction in Washington is between our positive agenda and their crony capitalism. How we handle 2027 and what we choose to highlight will be as important as who we nominate for president in 2028. Does that sound like an agenda that Faiz is crying for at the moment, Karl?
Well, both the left and the center of the Democratic Party are in favor of a positive agenda, but when it gets down to the details, there's going to be a very big difference. The agenda that Faiz just outlined is going to be really enthusiastically supported in the very liberal parts of the country. It's not going to be supported in the swing areas and in the battleground states, in my opinion. Emanuel represents a more traditional Democratic approach. That's what the Democrats need in order to win, because this election and the election that follows it will be decided by a group of people who are far closer to the middle than they are to the extremes of either party.
Okay, Faiz, he mentioned positive agenda. Can you define that? Because I guess in your first answer, we could not.
Yeah, of course I did. I said President Trump himself had suggested capping credit card interest rates. What's so radical about that? We should do that. How about banning, private equity from owning more residential housing in America? That sounds good. I said buy into Medicare. Every American should have the option to buy into it. Right now, most people are losing health care. Let's give them the chance to expand their health care access. Those, to me, are not radical ideas, Bill.
Okay, so it seems as if when the Democratic Party needs to go somewhere, Karl, what they do is they go for taxes. And it used to be go after the millionaires. Now it's the billionaire and the millionaire class. They're doing this in Washington state. Axios writes this: the left pushes a wealth tax as a litmus test for 2028 Dems. Maybe that law in Washington state stands. Maybe it doesn't. I think it can be challenged under state law. But they're talking about it in New York and a lot of other places. And, Karl, you just wonder if that's the playbook, does that work now?
Yeah, well, I don't think it does, because it basically establishes the principle that the government can come and tax you on your assets. So if you own a home, you have a car, you own a farm, the government can come in and tax each year the value of that asset. As opposed to taxing your income, your profits, if you so to speak. But look, we've just heard an agenda, and the agenda is pretty left-wing. Let's go allow everybody to buy into Medicare, a system which is going broke in 5 years. Let's speed up the date of which Medicare, the Social Security is also similarly in a bad position. Let's take these great safety nets for Americans and make them even more problematic. Let's collapse them even quicker. Let's have a cap on interest rates on credit cards. Sounds like a good idea. What's going to happen is people who find it difficult to get a credit card to begin with are now not going to be able to get a credit card, and they're going to have to go to payday loans and other very onerous ways to get access to capital. So I'm all in favor of Faiz's agenda. Let's have the Democrats adopt it full-throated and then take it to the American people and see how the American people react, because they ain't going to react very well.
Okay, Faiz, are they?
Well, right now, the problem is you got a billionaire class that wants to extort America. They say, hey, if you want to tax us, you want to use the democratic process to institute fairer taxes on us, then we will punish you. We will move to places like Florida and Texas. I'm a Floridian, so if you look at Florida right now, Bill, there are a number of billionaires that moved there, Zuckerberg, Bezos, and others. And you would say, right, because of the billionaire influx into Florida, the working class must be doing great. Wrong. Right now, they're proposing budgets to cut education, cut health care, cut public lands. This is a state I know and love. And why is it? Why is it that the billionaires flee to a place like Florida and you can't improve the standard of living of Floridians? Why? Because they are instituting a sense of a rule of the oligarchy. If you want to take us on, you will not allow you to tax us, and you cannot improve the lives of working class Americans. It is a choice for us. Are we going to stand up to this power or not?
You know, Carl, I mean, Faiz already beat everybody to it, right? I mean,
Bill,
he's in the free state.
It's not only billionaires who are moving to Florida and Texas. It's ordinary Americans who see that they have a better chance at a better life with low taxes, less government, better schools, lower cost of living. That's why they're moving there. If the idea of moving to Florida is only good for billionaires and it's good to move to New York and New Jersey and California, then I suggest every well-meaning liberal, every well-meaning Democratic socialist show that they believe in big government by moving away from a state like Florida or Texas and go into one of these utopias like California, New York, or New Jersey. Good luck with that. People are voting with their feet because they hate the kind of policies that were just outlined.
There's been a blue state drain, and that continues.
No, in New York, just this last week, Wall Street announced the biggest bonuses for those wealthy big bankers. In Mayor Mamdani's city, they can pay their fair share.
Faiz, thank you. Carl, thanks to you as well. Gentlemen, to be continued. Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.